Hello and welcome to this video on some basic tips and tricks for searching for information. One of the things that you're going to be asked to do is complete an assignment, and you're going to have to provide some reading to support what you're saying within your assignment. So I'm going to give you some basic tips on how to do this. So the first thing that you do is you start with the assignment brief, which we went through in a previous video. Here you can see under part B that it's asking you to look for theories of learning. In the respect of this particular assignment, you're looking specifically for theorists that support ideas of how children and young people learn. So straight away, what we're going to look at is we've got theories of learning, and that's going to be one of the key phrases that you use to search for your information. So we're going to go to the next bit. It says, got theories of learning. We've got behaviourist, constructivist. So let's write those words down. Behaviourist, constructivist, social or situational theories. And we'll start with that. So that's a nice, easy part to start with. So now we're going to look at how we might search for information. The tricks I'm going to show you now, you can use on any of the university systems. I'm not showing you the university systems at the moment because you don't have access to them until you come to enroll. So first of all, I'm going to start off with Google. So if you start with the Google page, then what I'm going to do is go into something called Google Scholar, as we can see here. Click into that. Now what Google Scholar does is it's a repository of academic work that you can search on that could be considered useful in your assignments. But these tricks, again, will work in Google. It'll work in any search engine that you put in, you decide you're going to use. But my firm choice is Google Scholar. The other thing that we have within BGU is something called libkeys, and the library will come in and talk to you about this within your first few sessions. Libkeys, and what that does is it links Google Scholar to our BGU repository, so you can use Google Scholar to search for quite a lot of things and not have to go into the university repositories unless you need a more specific search. So using the keys that or the keywords that we looked at from the assignment brief, you'll remember the first thing that we looked at was something called theories of learning. So what I'm going to do is above the number 2, so if you press shift and number 2, you get some little speech marks. So I'm going to put one of those on. It's important that you don't miss that out, and I'll explain why in a second. Then I'm going to type the phrase that I want to search for, but it could be a keyword, it can be a phrase, it can be whatever you need it to be. So theories of learning. And I'm going to put another speech mark. Now what that's doing is it's telling Google Scholar that all you want it to do is find any pieces of work that contain that exact phrase. So let me click enter. And you can see up here you've got over 3 million hits. Okay, now it's got a list of different resources that I might want to look at. I could narrow it down according to the time. Now, in the moment, when you're in level 4, the time of publication isn't always something that we really focus on. We're just more interested in getting you searching for information. Okay, we could search by date. So if I click on date, it will bring up an additional function for you. I'm going to go back to any time. Let's go back. There we go. And it has review articles, include patents, include citations. So I've left all of that as it is. Now what you can do is if we turn to the actual responses, you'll see that there are different versions that you have here. So if it's got a link on the right hand side like this one, then you can actually access it. If it hasn't got a link, you might still be able to access it if it says it's a Google Books. And I'm going to do this in 2 separate ways. So we're just going to look at the moment at the articles for you. If there is no link there, there's no hyperlink going down the right hand side, it's unlikely that you'll be able to gain access to it. It will want you to pay. So I would advise you just scroll past and look for anything that's got a link on it. Let me go through. So if you can see here, it says link to BGU Holdings. That's because I've got the libkey attached to my computer and it's accessing all of the information that we get from BGU as well. And that again will be given to you. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on this link. And there you go, it brings up a journal article on theories of learning and teaching. Okay, you can see that we've got Anita Woolfolk Hoy, Heather Davis and Eric Anderman. They're the authors of the work. It tells us when it was published. And if you scroll down, it then gives you the article. Now, one of the good tricks that I like to speak to the students about is how to read effectively. You have very limited time in relation to being, as your time as a student, because you're working, you're attending university, many of you will have families. So it's important to try and make sure that you read quickly and effectively. And one of the ways to do that is to actually, again, use another search function within the article that you've got up. And you do this by pressing Control and F key. And that brings you up a little box in the corner, which means that you can search on keywords within the document. So on this one, we're looking for, we've got some other words that we were looking for, which was behaviourist. So let's try that one. So it's not coming up with behaviourist. Remember, it could also be that it's an American spelling, and you can see in this case it is. So I'm just going to put half the word in. Can you see there, here, it's come up with 43 matches. So what you can now do is just click using the arrow keys and read around it to see whether or not this is something that you want to actually look at. So here we've got behavioural theories of learning, stress observational changes in behaviour. So that might be useful for you. You can click and just read around those keywords. Another word thing you might look at is constructivist. There we go, and we've got 29 matches on the word constructivist. So this looks to be quite a good article that might help to answer that research question. So in that case, I would save it and come back to it later. So the way to save an article from Scholar is if you click on the print key and go to the destination, it has several options. You can actually print it or you can save it as a PDF. So if I click save as a PDF and then I click save, it will then take me to my options where I might want to save it. So I'm going to save it on my hard drive. I might even have a folder set up in here with all the reading that I would like to do. And then I'm going to click save. That means now I've got an article that I think might be useful for my assignment, but I'm going to save that and I'm going to go back and I'm going to carry on looking for some more information. Okay. There are lots of pages of work, and what I would say to you is try not to become too overwhelmed. As a rule of thumb, I typically read the first 3 pages, or I look through the first 3 pages, and if there's anything interesting for me, that's what I look at. I don't tend to go beyond that because you could be there for a long time. Okay, I'm going to look at some other keywords and another way of searching. So we've got theories of learning, and again, I've got my quotation marks. Then I'm going to use the word and, okay, in capitals. And I'm going to put another quotation mark in there. And what I want to do is I want to narrow those hits down a little bit more. So I'm now going to put in the word behaviourist or behaviour. Okay. And then I'm going to click search. So what you're doing with these quotation marks and the word and, they are what is known as Boolean operators. So they are specific keys that tell the search engine exactly what it is you're looking for. So what I'm asking it to do is go away and find any articles that contain the word theories of learning and the word behaviour. So that should be all that it brings up for me. So I'm going to click search. And again, you can see I've got 31,700 to hit. So it's narrowed the search down for me. Okay, so again, that helps quite significantly. And again, if I'm going to go down, let's have a look and see. Let's get a nice sign. Got theories of learning, constructive experience. So let's just click into that one. That's taken me, as you can see, to the BGU repository, but it's telling me that that particular article is not available. So let's go back. Let's find another one. Okay, let's go into this one. Okay, so again, it's given me another article. And it's got a whole section there on behaviorism. So I might decide that's actually going to be really useful for me. So, and it's actually telling us here different theorists. So we've got Ivan Pavlov, who looked at the dogs, the experiment with the dogs. We've got Edward Thorndike, and we've got B.F. Watson, and we've got Skinner. So this would be a really good article that would help with the work that we're doing. And again, I would go back and I would save it. Another thing that you can do is look at Google Books. So if we looked on the previous page, there was a Google Book link. So I'm just going to go into a book link. There we go. So if I click on that one there, you can tell it's a Google book because it tells you it's a Google book. If I click into that, it takes you into the actual book itself. The thing with Google Books is that it doesn't tell you everything that you need to know. It only gives you portions. And again, in the same way that you did on the previous searches, you can search in this little box here and you can search on keywords. So for example, I mean, actually you can read, that's actually giving you quite a decent amount of the chapter, but you don't always get all of it. But as you can see, look, page 51 is not available of this book because you've got it on Google Books. So let's just have a quick look and let's go into it. So let me have a look. Let's do behaviour again. Now what it's doing is it's telling me there's 15 results for behaviour in this book. So now what I can do is I can click into the book and I can read around those words that talk about behaviour. So that's another thing that you can do. Let's go back. Okay, one of the really good things about this, and this is something you're going to come to know when you start to study, but I will mention it very briefly here, is there are a series of other features within Scholar that are useful. The first one is a save option. So if I click save and I click under my reading list, I can click done. And then if you see there on the right hand side, it says my library. That's where all of my books that I've saved from the previous however long will be there and ready for me. So you can see that's quite a useful way of building your own library without having to save it. The other thing it does is if you click on Cite, it also gives you a potential reference. We use APA 7th at BGU, so you could just copy and then pop that in your reference list, but you need to make sure that you check it because these are not always 100% accurate, but it does give you an idea. The other thing that it does is say you found this particular article really useful, you can find out who else has cited it. Now that's important because if they've cited it, it means they might be talking about something similar to what you're looking at. So if you click on Cited By, you then get another list of articles that go with the article that you're looking at, and there might be something else in there that you find useful. You could also click on something called Related Articles. So if I click in Related Articles, that gives you again another range of different articles that might be useful that links to your particular topic. We'll go back. You might decide yet again that actually 31,000 hits is too much, so you might decide to add yet another keyword. So this time we're going to add the word education. I'm going to close it again. Again, you'll see that it's narrowed it down again. You can add as many of these keywords or phrases as you want to, but the more that you add, the less responses you get back. And that might be a good thing, but sometimes it can leave you with none depending on what you want to actually look at. That's it for the tutorial for today. I hope it's been useful for you and at least given you an idea of the sorts of things that you'll be doing. Have a play around with it over the summer and see if you can use keyword searches from your home life to see if you can find any information. For example, really quickly, let's look at summer holidays and children. Go. It will bring up all sorts of different useful articles for you. The other thing, just very quickly before I do end the tutorial, is you can use this on Google, on just paying Google as well. So let me just show you how that works. Exactly the same, and it brings up in the same way articles that you might find interesting. The other thing that it does is within Google is there is a news function, so you can look to see if there's anything in the news that might be interesting for you. Anyway, I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you all in September. Thank you.